Welcome back to the channel and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to do a slightly different video where instead of giving out tips like I have been doing the last few days, I'm going to be talking about the action that has unfolded over the last few days at York, my thoughts on the winners, unlucky horses in behind and horses to keep an eye on going into the future. And we started off with the 150 on the Wednesday over the mile and a half, and Garcia was very impressive for William Haggas and Tom Marquand. Now you look at the finishing result and you see it only won by a length and you think it might have been a little bit workmanlike, but I think he won this with plenty in hand. This horse was coming back with seasonal reappearance as a 4-year-old off a mark of 94, and I suggested before that this could be a group horse in a handicap, and I think he turned out to be just that because he was probably a little bit too far back, came with a very good run and won easily enough off a mark of 94. He was very strongly supported as well, so it was interesting to see where he goes in the future. I can definitely see this horse dipping his toe into listed or even group company. I think is one that William Haggas has taken his time with, progressed this horse nice and slowly, and I think he'll really reap the benefits of that in the future. Moving on to the 3 o'clock, the Duke of York Group 2, and Highfield Princess sprung a little bit of a surprise. I didn't think she had much of a chance, to be honest, against horses like Dragon Symbol and Minzal. Dragon Symbol was very disappointing. I wasn't too keen on the horse's chances before on his yard debut for Roger Varian, and that horse stopped very quickly. He was well beaten in the end, about 10 lengths off the lead, having been up there with a pace, but he folded pretty tamely for David Egan and Roger Varian. I can't really see that horse bouncing back anytime in the near future. The last couple of runs from that horse have been a little bit disappointing. As for the winner, well, Jason Hart was very complimentary of the training because this horse just keeps on seeming to be progressing. She seemed to hit a ceiling a couple of starts back where the improvement wasn't really there in the start of a 5-year-old courier, and she's taken off again. This was probably a courier best to win this Group 2, picked up a nice purse as well. As for the horses in behind, well, Minzal finished third, and I don't think that was the worst run in the world, although he did look a little bit one pace. He's definitely got a lot of potential, and I think we'll see a better Minzal next time out once he's 100% fit. But I think he's one to keep an eye on, but there's no denying it. On the day, Highfield Princess was definitely the best horse in the race. And moving on to the feature on the Wednesday, the Musidora Stakes, the fillies Group 3 over the 1 mile and 2 furlongs, and Emily Upjohn was in a league of her own for John and Thady Gosden and Frankie Dettori. She managed to win by 5.5 lengths in the end, beat Life of Dreams, who trained by Charlie Appleby and William Buick. I think that's a decent enough horse on her day. She had a pretty good debut, and I don't think it was the worst one because I just think the winner, Emily Upjohn, is just a class apart from the rest. Of the rest, Ching Shai, I think it's pronounced, for David Simcock and Jim Crowley. That was held on and ran on nicely enough at the end. I think that'll be a decent horse over a little bit further. Could be one to aim for somewhere, a big race over a mile 6, even 2 miles later on in the season. That horse stayed on pretty strongly come the line, but at the end of the day was beaten 7 lengths, and then Frankie Dettori went on to win the next race on the Wednesday as well. It was a couple of winners for him and a very good day for John and Thady Gosden. Moving on to the Thursday's action, and I think there wasn't much, but Desert Crown in the Dante, like Emily Upjohn, was just a class apart. This was only the horse's second start after winning by 5.5 lengths at Nottingham on debut. That created a lasting impression, but horses don't really win Dante with just one run under the belt, but this horse beat some very good horses as well. He came with a wide run, was a little bit green inside the final furlong, but he definitely got moving forward quickly enough, and is definitely one that I think has a huge chance in the Derby, shaped as if he would stay further, stepping up the 2 furlongs in the Derby. Richard Kingscote, it's nice to see him on a very good horse, and I think if you look at the second Royal Patronage, Mark Johnston doesn't usually have too many at the top level. I think this horse was pretty useful as well. Wasn't able to employ his customary front-running tactics, but was held up this day, and he stayed on well enough to be finishing just over 3 lengths behind this winner, but I think Desert Crown is open to so much more improvement than the rest of them, and I think this horse might just have a pretty good chance of winning the Derby. And just a brief word on today's action. At the time of filming, we're a few races in, but Pillow Talk was probably one of the most eye-catching performances of the week, winning the Mary Gate. Now I tipped this horse up at 25 to 1 on debut, and it just didn't know enough to win on debut. Was just touched off by half a length by Lost Angel, and I think the step forward that she has taken has been significant. Carl Burke always tend to have them pretty ready on debut, but then they somehow take a significant step forward from first to second run. He actually had the 1-2 Pillow Talk and Yasa. I was complimentary about the trainer before and his chances, and he managed to provide a 1-2, and thankfully I was on the winner. But Pillow Talk is definitely one to keep an eye on going forward. She was very impressive. Danny Tudor, even though it was a tough finish, he didn't get too serious on Border. He's a very good rider of these 2-year-olds, teaches them a job without being too harsh. And yeah, as I said, she's definitely one to keep an eye on. Whether she turns up at Royal Ascot, I think she'd have a chance if she turned up in one of the races over the 5 furlongs. She's a very fast filly as well, and seems to have some very good mental strength. She toughed it out at the end to beat Yasa, who was coming quite late, but she just pulled out a little bit more to win. Moving on to the second race, which was the listed fillies race. That was won by Fontaine, again for Kevin Ryan. This horse hadn't actually won a race before. It was rated 91 and just kept on bumping into horses. Bumped into Cronell at Newmarket the last day, was just beaten a neck by that horse. The winner was highly promising, even though she did somewhat disappoint next time at Newmarket against With the Moonlight, but I think she's a good horse in time. And Fontaine just was touched off by Cronell that day and just got the other hand of, in a photo finish, of a Frankie Dettori Good and John and Thady Gosden trained horse in Grand Dam, who might have been a little bit of an unlucky loser. I think Frankie Dettori was a little bit overconfident, came with a long sweeping run, but maybe just left it a little bit late. The winner pulled out more to win off a mark of 91. I think that's definitely open to a lot of improvement. And as for the second, I think that'll be a good horse in time. I think the horse actually bit its lip at the start, was bleeding. It wouldn't be an excuse, but not in our ideal scenario. So I think the front 2 of them are quite good. And another nice ride by Danny Tudor up for a third on Love Interest, who ran on strongly near the finish to be third at 28 to 1. So that rounds up the video. Thanks a lot for watching. The ones to take out of the weekend for me would be Pillow Talk and of course Desert Crown, who was so impressive in the Dante. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're closing in on 250, and when we hit 250, there will be a big cash giveaway if you can back a couple of winners on a big Saturday. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.